Hey guys, welcome back to another Weird Wednesday. I'm Ashers, and this is
Pedo.
Pat O. Aside from what we're going to talk about, how was your weekend?
I don't know what else to talk
Okay,
about.
all right.
I what else fucking is worth talking about? I really don't know.
Yeah. If there's nothing, there's nothing, and that's fine. But I just thought I would at least check in.
Yeah, no, I can't. I don't have any. I don't have anything else. There was just a big frog-shaped cloud in my memory for this weekend. That's it. What could possibly usurp that? That's how this weekend will forever be remembered.
Well, nothing, I suppose. That's where I'm at. I'm still recovering as we are recording on a Monday. I'm pretty sure I woke up drunk yesterday and was that way for at least a better portion of the day. So yeah, I didn't have any news or anything prepared. This is probably going to be the shortest episode of the show that we ever have.
Yeah, that's cool.
If you are here, because you are a first time listener of the show and you just met us this past weekend, well, first of all,
It was lovely meeting you. For yeah, exactly.
you're good people. This is not our typical show format. But again, these events kind of take a lot out of people, and so this is what we're doing. If you don't want to hear the Frogman Festival recap, we have like 152 other episodes that you can listen to, or you can just come back next week. We're doing it again next week. Something else.
Right.
But that's what this episode is, and probably everybody else that was there that was a podcaster, which was a lot of us, is doing this also. So, but we have the best stories to tell, don't we? Pat O, you had a hell of a time getting to the Frogman Festival, so I hear.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyone that traveled from west of Indiana had to drive through that hellacious Midwestern snowstorm, and it was not fun. It was easily, and I'm a 40-year-old man, so I've been driving a decent amount of time in my life, and I've driven through some Midwestern blizzards. And I gotta say, that was the most gnarly. It was definitely some shit. I saw a lot of people on the side of the road in ditches, just kind of fucking bouncing around in their
Yeah.
cars on the way there. And it should have been a 4.5 hour drive from Chicago to Cincinnati, and it was more like 7. It was a fucking ordeal, man.
Now, see,
But
the Waylands came a very similar way that you did. And they said they didn't hit any snowstorm. It was just the flooding was an issue.
they didn't hit the snow. So most storms, if you live in like we're me and they're in Wisconsin, I'm in Chicago,
Right,
and usually the storms come from up north,
right.
and they get it heavier up north, and then as you go south, it tapers off. This storm didn't come like that. This storm actually came from the south and went up. So when they left their houses, they didn't hit anything. And they didn't actually hit the weather until they got to like basically where I'm at. Because I live kind of along I-80, and that's the cutoff. So what we had was, they drove all the way to Chicago absolutely fine, but then once you pass Chicago, you start going southeast towards Indianapolis on I-65, and that was the treacherous part. So that's when, by me, it was more snow because it was like lake effect, and I don't know the timing of when they passed where. Me and him both kind of got there at the same time because we
Yeah.
were texting each other, but yeah, it was. There was a lot of rain and shit too. But when I left my house in a blizzard, and then when I got further down towards Indianapolis, it turned more into rain, and then yeah, there was a lot of flooding and hail and shit like that, and just like slush on the road. But a lot of 65 is a 2-lane highway, and all it takes is one bad wreck, and that 2-lane highway is just completely shut down,
Yeah.
and you don't have like exits every couple miles. Sometimes it's like you don't have exits for another 20 miles So you're just sitting there, and there was like a good 45 minutes where like I was sitting on this 2-lane highway surrounded by giant fucking like trucks, like freight trucks, and I had to piss, and we weren't moving, and all I could do is just hear like the sound of like the hail or like the frozen
Oh,
rain like
gee.
hitting my car, and being like, "Oh, am I gonna fucking like, just live here now? Like, what's gonna happen?"
That's your house.
Yeah, I guess this is where I live. So like that, yeah, that was how my weekend fucking started. Was that, and when I ended up getting to the comfort suites, it's so funny, and I don't even think I had a chance to tell you this,
No, we really didn't
but
actually see each other that much this
right,
weekend.
so I checked into my hotel room, unpacked all my shit. I go to leave the hotel room to go to the brewery, which we'll get to that part of the story
Yeah.
later, but I go to leave to go to the brewery, and when I go to pull my hotel room door behind me, the door won't lock. And I worked in hotels for like 11 years, right? I know that you always give the doorknob an extra tug before you walk away. Because people will, what they'll inevitably do on vacation is they'll walk away from their hotel room door thinking that it's going to close and latch behind them, and then it doesn't. And then all it takes is an opportunist person to walk down the hallway of a hotel room and just kind of push on the doors. You don't even have to like pull the handle. All you got to do is give it like a little push. And if a door's not latched, the door will pop right open. So 11 years of working in hotels. I've heard horror stories. I've seen people get robbed. I've seen all kinds of shit. I always check my door, and my hotel room door would not lock. So I had to go down to the front desk. They moved me to a room right across the hall, not the end of the world, but then I had to pack all my shit up again and fucking move it to the room across the hall, which thankfully locked. So I hear you had some door handle issues as well.
Yeah, I
And
did.
I don't even know if I got into that. I was like, yeah. Oh, I did, because we were texting each other. You called me like right when I realized that happened, because I was walking out to go grab food.
Yeah, I was trying to
And
see where you were,
right,
and you were like, I don't know. I heard you talking to somebody, and so I was just like, whatever.
yeah.
And you had kind of explained it, but then we were kind of already off and doing our thing, and then going back home, and I'll tell my side eventually. We'll get there.
I will say this about the Comfort Suites, though. Although that happened, and that was a gigantic pain in the ass. It was a very nice hotel, and
It
the
was.
lo- the lobby was full of Metazoo people, and there was kids playing Metazoo in the lobby like every time I came and went or whatever. And in the morning, when I went to go over to the conference, I saw this like random weirdo standing in front of the hotel, and he had a box of Metazoo shit. And I said, "Hey, are you going to the conference?" He goes, "Yeah." He's like, "I think I'm going to call an Uber, but I don't know, it's going to take a while." And I was like, "Well, I'm going there right now. I'll give you a ride." The dude's name is Kevin, and he actually worked for Metazoo. And I gave him a ride over, and I was bitching to him about the gameplay mechanics of Metazoo. I was like, I really like your game, but the gameplay kind of sucked. And he was like, yeah, yeah. He's like, when we do the tournaments, we have different rules that we use that address all of the issues that I had. I'm like, there's too many hit points. I don't like the way this is set up. I don't like the way that that's set up. And he goes, oh, no, no, no. When we do these tournaments, we do it differently. And I have to say that it sounded like they made the right modifications to the gameplay. So thanks, Kevin. And then yeah, that was it. So
You think Kevin's listening to the show now?
I don't know. I kept telling him because he kept asking me like, "What's the name of your podcast?" And I was like, "Well, Asher's is the MC and one of the speakers and all this." And I don't know. I didn't see him. I walked through the Metazoo thing at some point, and I don't know. I wasn't really looking for him either, but yeah,
So that was your Friday.
that was my Friday.
Our Friday, me and Am went ahead and went to the venue, just kind of pre-set up.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff had like put out this call out basically saying that like the vendor room was going to be locked, but anybody set up in the hallways was not going to be. Like we shouldn't really leave shit out because it leads right into the hotel, because the hotel that it was at is like a whole event in and of itself, right?
It's a water park, yeah.
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
Great Wolf Lodge, like,
yeah, Great Wolf. Yeah, it's a water park. They've got a bowling alley. They've got, I mean, all kinds of shit there. It's like a family fun place, right? So there's tons of people coming in and out and doing other things, not just coming for the Frogman Festival, in Mason, Ohio. But yeah. So anyway, we get there. But mostly I just wanted to use it as an excuse to talk to people and hang out with people because I tell people this is when I see my friends is at these events. So we came and checked it out definitely, which again it was really fucking nice, really nice, um, super fancy. We I don't know what Jeff was thinking. We had no business being there. Um, but I think he really liked that aspect of it. It was definitely forbidden. But no, it was great. I went and I met the guys doing all the AV stuff. For the speakers and stuff like that. Checked out the speaker room. I was curious what it was like. Because that was actually depending on what the speaker room was like was going to depend on, well, it was supposed to depend on what kind of shoes I wore, and I'll get to that. So I go in and I'm talking to them, and they're talking to me like the first fucking couple seconds of just talking to these guys. They're like, "Yeah, we'll be here all day, but sometimes we're gonna go out back." And I was like, "Oh, what are you guys doing out back?" And they're like, "Well, use your imagination." And Anne immediately is like, "That's a bad idea." So I leaned
what?
in and I was like, "What do you
You
guys?"
guys sucking each
Yeah,
other
you
off?
guys sucking each other
Okay.
off back there? Well, of course, it got him, and then we were fast friends from there. And I'm like, "Are you doing drugs? You're doing meth out back? Is that?" Because it's got to be worse than what it is. But anyway, so then they invited us to go out and drink at this bar that they were going to, and we're like, "Well, fuck yeah, yeah, sure." And then we just kind of chit chatted with Jeff a little bit more, some other people, and we left. We went to this bar. So those guys are from a show called the Strange Road podcast. I can't vouch for the show itself. I haven't listened to it. I'm sorry, guys. You guys might be listening to this, but I don't know. But the guys themselves are cool people, so it's probably okay. But they had mentioned that they were going to go and drink with the guys from Cryptid of the Corn podcast, which I also never met and was not familiar with, but I've heard the name a couple of times. I like it. I think it's a fun name. And I'm like, cool, we'll meet you guys there. So we go there, and like, I don't know any of the Crypt of the Corn guys, so I don't know who they might have been there at the bar. We walked around the whole bar. We did not find them, and we didn't find the Strange Road guys, so I have no idea. They also had like a band or something playing. That bar wasn't really my scene. I'm a hole in the wall type of bar girl. Like, I don't like these like hipster new age brewery bar. I'm not into that. Like, I just like just give me a classic dark ass bar in the middle of fucking nowhere with a bunch of hick regulars, and I'm happy. Like, that's my thing. Like, I'm good with that. Um, but the bar was called the Monkey Bar, and it did actually have an interesting history. Me and Anne learned about. They used to actually have a live monkey there, and like this monkey, they did, and people would come and they would pay money to get like feed it beer, and it would smoke cigarettes, and it actually
Oh
like.
my god.
Yeah, it actually like turned into this like really terrible like animal cruelty case, which the owners were found not at fault for, surprisingly. So but they don't have any monkeys now, so I don't know. And then like we were leaving the bar, and I was like, "Fuck this bar! They practice animal cruelty." And then we went home. We went home, and it was late at that point. So I roll into bed with the intention of waking up at 5 in the morning the next day because I had to be at the venue by 7, and we're 40 minutes away or whatever.
Hmm.
So I just go straight into bed. I wake up the next morning. So I had gone to bed with my makeup on because I just went straight to bed, which is not a good idea. You shouldn't do that. When I woke up in the morning, and this happens frequently, one half of my makeup face is completely gone and the other half is still there and perfect. And I'm just like, whatever. I'm trying to figure out what to wear, and I go in my room and I put the sweater on, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I live in an apartment. I do my laundry at my mom's house, and I had laundry in my car from when I had taken it home from my mom's and hadn't carried it in yet. So I go outside to go get my laundry, and then I'm like, oh fuck, I don't have my car keys. So I go back into my house, and it's probably just right before 6, and the fucking door handle just keeps spinning. It won't open. It won't latch on anything. It's just fucking spinning. And I'm like, oh no. Well, I'm sure you guys have ran to your car before. I didn't take my phone. I didn't have my car keys. I had nothing on me. And it's fucking, 5:45 in the morning on a Saturday. And I live in a huge apartment complex. So I'm like, fuck, this is an issue. And of course, I'm a responsible adult. I lock my windows. I can't just crawl in through a window anywhere. So I decide to walk around and start trying to knock on all of my neighbors' doors. Some people, which were awake at that time, nobody will answer. And I probably look nuts. Some people I know for sure were awake because I'd knock on their fucking door and their dog would go off and they'd be like telling their dog to shut up. And I'm like, God damn it, just open your fucking door. Like, it made me so mad. And actually, that person with their dog going off, I like audibly said out loud, I was like, what in the fuck? So upset because I had been crying. I'd been walking around. Like I said, I looked nuts. It was crazy. I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And by the time I got done knocking on everybody's fucking door, I did not, honestly, in my heart of hearts, I did not expect that nobody would answer. And there would even be people driving, like they would leave, like going to work, or they'd come back home, and I'd be like, hey, and they'd ignore me, and I'm like, I felt like in that moment of time, like the only person on the entire planet. It was fucking awful. And, but I didn't know how long I had been doing that for. And the only saving grace that I had was that I knew that Anne was going to be at my house at 7. Because Anne's the type of person, she's not going to like text me and be like, hey, can I come over now and wait for me to answer? Anne's going to assume that I slept in, which is probably a good assumption on her part to make, and come pound my door down to get my ass up. She will do that, So I knew she was coming over. I didn't want to I have a gas station right up the street. I could have walked up there and called somebody, but how many people's phone number do you even know anymore?
Right, yeah.
I know my mom's, and that's what Ann said. She's like, well, why didn't you just go to the gas station and call me? I'm like, Ann, I don't know your number. And she was like, I'm going to tattoo my phone number on your ass. And I'm like, well, how am I going to see it, Ann? It's on my ass.
See, this is why I need to figure out a way to monitor that paranormal hotline, because you could have called 77359 weird and left a message, and I would have checked
And
it.
then, yeah, and then you would have gotten
Right?
it.
We actually put that. I put that in the movie that we were gonna do.
Yeah.
When the person loses their phone, and what's the only number that they know offhand?
77359
77359
Yeah,
weird.
I know that one and my mom's, and that's it. There's only 2 numbers that I know by heart. So you're right.
Sure.
We'll pop it on your phone. But anyway, eventually Anne comes over. She breaks into my house. I'm running late. I didn't get to like dress up. I had this whole fucking outfit planned and I just didn't even get to do any of it. Didn't get to take a shower. I'm like, oh my God. So immediately I start drinking. Immediately. At 7:00 in the morning.
There you go.
And we went to the Frogman Festival. My emergency maintenance guy didn't answer the fucking phone all weekend. I called 5 times on Saturday, left him a message each and every time.
See, now you're writing them out. What if your landlord listens to this show?
My landlord doesn't listen to the show. I am writing him out. I'm telling on him. And I finally got into my house later that night and had to break in again. But he came this morning and fixed my door. So, but it was devastating. It was genuinely devastating for the good hour and a half that I was alone. And then you guys have no idea. I'm so thankful for smartphones. I can't be alone with my thoughts. That's just it's dangerous. But anyway, so it already started off bad, and like me and my mystical, magical, metaphysical self, I was like, well, this is a bad omen. It's gonna be a bad day. Like I was convinced. I was like, this is not gonna be good. Like I'm gonna fucking fail, and everybody's gonna hate me, and the event's gonna be terrible, and the whole hotel's gonna catch on fire. I mean, I didn't know, but that didn't happen. Actually, that didn't happen at all.
The only thing that was fire was you.
It was me. Yes, that's correct. That is correct. No, it ended up being a really good time. So, we get to the event, we set up, everything was good. Well, so that was another thing is that we got to lock our shit into the speaker room. And at first we were like, well, let's just get it in the morning. I'm like, you know what? No, we'll just drop it all off just in case. And thank fucking God we did, because then I could have you, Pato, go and at least, get everything out and ready, um, for me to come obsessively rearrange.
No, you did it. You did a bang up job.
Thank you. Well, I do it a lot. So, um,
Yeah.
everything's got a spot. But you helped, like I said, by just even getting the shit out. It knocks off time. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I don't think I really like dawdled. Like I think I got there pretty much at 8, well, 7 or 8, 8 maybe. Yeah, because you got there at 9. So I got there about maybe no more than 5 or 10 after 8, and it took me until you got there to get as far as I got, as far as unpacking everything and organizing it as
yeah.
best as I could. So yeah, it was good. I'm glad I got there and could kind of help out. Um,
Yeah, and well, like I said, you don't typically, you're not familiar with the table, and that's fine. It's not.
mm.
And we had a lot of new stuff anyway. So
Yeah, and it was cool because we were right in between Heather Mosier and the Waylands with the Singular 14 Society.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, which was
so it
okay.
was cool because I hadn't seen them in a hot minute,
Yeah.
so got to bullshit with them, and the event, I think it started at 9 for the vendors were pretty much all there at 8 setting up, and then started at 9 with the VIP
Right.
guests. So, there was stuff to do almost right away. I felt like we
Oh
hit the
yeah.
ground running,
Oh
you
yeah.
know?
People were there and they were ready. And
Yeah,
then
and
everybody else came in at 9:30, and it was crazy.
so the one thing I didn't do, was get change for the event because, obviously we do stuff via card, but we also do stuff with cash, and you wanna have change because nobody has exact change ever if they're
Right.
using cash. And I had gotten some from the hotel lobby. But you always use more, right? Especially singles and stuff like that. So I was like, well, let me go walk around the vendor tables because I got some time to kill. And I knew that I wanted to get the crypto theology. They had like this cover that they this design that they did that looked like a old school Dungeons and Dragons module that they did for the event, and it was like a poster, a T-shirt, and then like a Frogman miniature that you could potentially use like in D&D. So I wanted to get that. And I went into the vendor hall, and luckily that guy's booth was like, or that guy's table and stuff was right there. And I walked up and he was talking to some other random guy that also must have been a vendor because I think this was probably even before 9 o'clock. And I had said, hey, like I wanna the guy was talking to him about the Misfits in Glendansing, which is, as we all know, a favorite topic of mine.
Yeah.
And me and the guy from Crypto Theology, I don't know your name. I don't know if he's listening, but this wonderful, beautiful gentleman, and then this other random guy, and we're talking about the Misfits and Michael Graves and Glenn Danzig and all this stuff, and it was a really good conversation. The guy ran off, so then I go to buy the festival pack that he did with the poster, the T-shirt, and the miniature. And at one point, I pulled out. I had $100 bill on me that I was trying to get rid of because the ATM will give you these, and you're like, what the fuck are you supposed to do with them realistically, right? Like you're not going to go like get McDonald's or anything. It's like you have to wait until you're getting like I don't know gas or something big, to where they don't have to give you that much change back. So I had pulled it out and I was like, I hate to be a dick, and I know that you're not even really open yet, but is there any way? Because he looked like he had his shit together. He had a lot of stuff to sell.
Sure.
So I'm thinking, realistically, this guy probably has a decent amount of change on him. I'm like, what are the chances that you'd be willing to break this? And he's like, no, dude. He's like, I don't know if you buy $70 worth of shit, you know, like, yeah, I'll break it. And I'm like, all right, well, you know what? Don't worry. I had it in smaller bills. So I buy it. I buy the thing off him with the smaller bills. I go back to the table. About 20 minutes later, he comes up to me and he had the $100 bill, and he goes, "You dropped this." And I was like, "Jesus, dude, thank you." He goes, hey, "Somebody found it and they tried to give it to me, and I knew it wasn't mine because why the fuck would I bring $100 bill to a convention?" And as soon as I saw it, I knew it was you. I
Oh,
remembered you. I'm like, because we were talking about Glenn Danzig. He's
yeah.
like, yeah, he stuck in my mind. So just for I went online yesterday and I bought a lot of merch from him through his website, which is good. It's all good stuff. He does a thing where he takes classic punk rock albums and he like redoes them with cryptids. So I got a Out Come the Wolves, which is a Rancid album that came out like they're all from the same era too, like early '90s, you know, because we're him and I are obviously the same age. But he did a Green Day Kerplunk one, and then he did a Out Come the Wolves, Rancid Out Come the Wolves album cover parody, which I thought was pretty cool. So I picked those up. But I want to give that dude a shout out, Crypto Theology. Check them out. I don't know if they were like the official anything of the event, but they were featured pretty prominently on all the Map and Black stuff, you know, all the festival promotions. And like I said, they had that kit with the T-shirt and the poster and the minifig. So patronize those guys; they were very awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, that is a good story. Because he didn't have to do that. So
No, he didn't.
that was very very nice of him. What a good dude. I've never met him. Even at the event, I don't know. Maybe I did for a brief second, but
I'm telling you, talking to people about Glenn Danzig,
cool.
Glenn Danzig is a great unifier. He brings us together. That's how me and Daniel Thorndike bonded from the Blue Room Insight, and it saved me $100 because he fucking remembered me. So if you're ever stopped at a bus stop or waiting for a train or just in an elevator with a stranger, talk to him about Glenn
Let
Danzig
me
and see
tell
where
you,
it
and it
goes.
works either way, right? So, like, you just go up to somebody, "Hey, you like Danzig?" And then they're like, "Yeah," and you're like, "Oh, hell yeah, me too," and just pick a song, what, right? Pick
Right.
something and be like, "Ah, that's what it," even if you don't know anything about the guy, pick something, right? And then you're bonded with that person forever. Or on the flip side of that, you're like, "Hey, you like Danzig?" And they're like, "No," and you're like, "Oh yeah,
And
fuck
now
that
you get to
guy."
tell them about Danzig. Yeah.
No, you're like, "Fuck that guy, hate that guy." Now you're bonded over your hate for Glenn Danzig. I mean, it works.
Well, there's no rational human being would have hatred for Glenn Danzig. I think it's if you come across that person in the wild, you know, the elusive non dancing person, that this is your chance to proselytize to them and to preach to them the gospel of Glenn
Oh
Danzig
gosh.
and tell them about Danzig's works and his messages and you know, there you go. That's how you make friends.
And there you go. Yeah, I feel bad because like I get there and it's like 8:50, maybe. Maybe it was 8:58. Um and I'm trying to, set everything up and people are excited to see me and I'm like, "Oh, that's great." And like all the other vendors and shit, like they already had all their stuff done. So like I've got like friends that are like coming up and trying to chit chat and I'm like I'm just kind of I wasn't being a bitch. I was just busy, and I'm like, "Oh no, am I
Right.
being I'm not trying to be off-putting, just let me finish this real quick."
Well, if you were in that main room, then they got to set up all their shit the night before.
Exactly.
So they
Exactly.
got there early and could do the finishing touches and the little
Right.
tweaks, and they could socialize. Where us in the in in the by the bathrooms, we were like we were forced to kind of do it that night. Like we couldn't really do
Yeah.
as much. We had to do it all, or I'm sorry, we were forced to kind of do it that morning.
Right.
So yeah, we were busy doing our thing.
Right. We didn't really have and initially I had thought, "Hey, maybe we could at least set up like the displays and things like that." But I didn't want to. Like I didn't want to leave the alien out or anything just in case.
No, that was smart. And there
Yeah.
was part of me, I didn't realize how connected that was to the resort. And I
I didn't
and
either.
listen, I'm not somebody I do not live in fear of people. I am not believe it or not, as even being the co-host of on Wednesdays we talk weird. I'm not that paranoid or anything. But like no, it would be too easy. Because I saw like you could tell, like, especially where we were at, because we were down by the where the conference center joins with the rest of the hotel or with the rest of the Great Wolf Lodge. So I saw people that came from there that walked into the convention that were not ticket holders. Not that I'm sure Jeff fucking, I'm sure he still did okay, but it was probably at least 50, maybe even 100 people that were not guests or that were not ticket holders that were
Right.
able to walk in because they came from down there. And it was a lot of like groups of teenagers and shit. And like, yeah, I'm sure if you had like a group of teenagers on vacation, like your cousins or whatever, all wandering around at night just to get away from their family, and they came across some random shit laying out, like, oh, they would have stole it or fucked with it. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
not only is that a hotel, but it's a hotel full of kids,
Full of rich
right?
kids too.
Right. It's not like a business center at a Hilton Garden Inn, right? Like this is a fucking water park. So like, yeah, leaving us if you had set more shit up the night before, I think we would have probably found it in disarray in the morning. So
Right.
I think that was the smart decision to
Yeah.
make.
Yeah, I agree, and so, yeah, I feel bad. So for anybody that tried to talk to me right before that point, I wasn't trying to be a bitch. I was genuinely excited to see you. But I just already had a terrible morning and I just wanted to do my job. Which I don't think anybody took offense to necessarily, but I just personally I felt bad. Um, but it was exciting. I mean, that was the first time that that I was meeting the Waylands. That was great.
Really?
Yeah, I've never met them before. Never met them in person.
I thought, you know what? That did kind of occur to me. I didn't know that, but yeah. I mean, I suspected, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, we had never met. This was the first time. So
Uh,
that was super exciting. Well, because they're far, they're so far. They're not unrealistically far. But it does take a little bit more, to get 6 hours, 7 hours away than it does for
right.
some other
Oh, if
people.
you're not visiting me, you sure as shit ain't visiting them. I'll set up a fucking roadblock if I ever catch wind of that shit. You are you literally have to drive by my house to get to them. So just no.
Well, that's true. Um, which I mean, we've had plans for a long time. I want Tobias to be in the documentary. Like that's already set in stone. Like I want him in it.
Mm,
It's just that, well, him and I talked about it a little bit more, and I'm not going to spoil that yet, but it's an ongoing investigation. That's just how it is with these things. So, once that I feel like that's at a comfortable place where I could stop it, then I can justify taking a trip up to that area and, spending the money to do it or whatever. But all these things cost money. I mean, that's another thing. So it was really fucking nice it was nice to be so close to home this time around. That doesn't ever happen. Typically we have to go stay the weekend somewhere. I mean, this wasn't that. Granted I was locked out of my home, but you know, I could just go home afterwards and not have to worry about spending the money to stay somewhere or whatever, which would have been fine, but sometimes it's not fine. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you show up to these events and you're like, fuck, I just spent more money coming to this event than I did, than I did bring home. And that wasn't the case this time. So that was really cool because I didn't have that expense to deal with. So but yeah, so meeting them for the first time was great. Again, I was the host for the event, but I did not introduce the first person. And it's nothing against D or anything. I don't want D Elliott to think that I don't like them. I do. I adore them. Just that I was trying to I didn't have that time to like get into the festival mode yet. Was trying to transition into being that person. So I didn't get to introduce the first person. That's okay. Um, it gave me time to do what I needed to do, talk to people or whatever, transition into that. And then I was on bright and early at 11. And man, that was a great experience. It was a lot of fun.
Tell me all about it because you haven't debriefed me on that. Now I popped my head in the room when you were getting started because I wanted to get some pictures and man, that was a standing room only crowd.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, how did I mean, I know it was successful by all accounts, but what
Yeah.
was it like for you?
It was very nerve-wracking initially. Because, when going into it, and again, I didn't do the traditional presentation and I made that known to everybody. I'm not doing that here. I just want to have a conversation with you guys about this stuff. And I didn't have bullet points to hit on and I was super fucking nervous because I didn't have any type of guidance. It was me. It was all me. I was the guidance. And I could tell, I mean, initially I'm talking a mile a minute, but everybody was enthralled. They were very interested in what I was saying. And, kind of as, it went on a little bit. Like at one point, I'd been talking so much, I was like, I need to breathe. I can't breathe. I'm not breathing, because I'm just going for it. And so I pulled the microphone away for like a hot second, like just trying to catch my breath. And then the whole room was dead quiet. And I'm like, that's right. They're waiting for me to talk. Which I don't think anybody faulted me for anything. They understand that I'm also a person, especially now. But it was good. I just kind of explained who I was, explained what I did, and what that meant and how I got into it. And then briefly explained like my Mothman sighting, encounter or whatever. And then I would kind of circle back and, I told a couple of jokes and that was fine. And nobody left, like 3 people left, like at the end. But, they probably didn't leave because I was bad or anything, but just because
Maybe they had to go
they
pee.
gotta pee, they wanna beat the crowd, they wanna listen to other people, they wanna go shop, they knew that I was wrapping up because 'cause I'd gotten to, people it kinda opened the floor for people to ask questions a little early on, um, because I wanted it to be engaging. Like, I wanted people to be able to feel like they're having a conversation with me, and a conversation is back and forth. It's not just I'll talk while you listen. That's not how that works. So I opened up questions early. People had some really really fantastic questions. It was a lot of fun because one of the questions that I got was like how I felt about portals, like did I believe in portals or whatever. And then I was like, hey, yeah, actually, speaking of portals, yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. And I was like, Skinwalker Ranch. And the whole room was like, oh, like you could hear it. And I was like, oh, you guys have heard of that, huh? And they, and then we kind of talked about, well, like we talked about on the show, the people seeing the portals opening up at the ranch. And I think like a lot of the information that I shared is just not stuff that people really knew a lot about. And I think that they enjoyed that, you
Well,
know.
if you listen to our show, you would have heard
You
it.
would have
So,
heard it. When I first started though, so I'm starting and I'm, talking and all of a sudden the door opens up and the fucking frogman comes in. And and I was like, "Uh-oh, how do I make a big scene out of this?" I did a great job. I just fucking deadpanned my face and I was like, "Oh my god, everybody look, turn around, look at that back corner, there's a frogman." And sure enough there it was, and I was like, I didn't plan that. It wasn't a bit. It wasn't something that but me and Frogman had a great chemistry together in that moment. And it was a beautiful moment, so but it was good. Apparently people enjoyed it, I hear. I couldn't stop talking to people after that. you I'd go out because remember, guys, I'm also during all this, right? So then I knew that after I'm off, right, I had to introduce somebody else. I think I popped out of the room for just a second right after my talk was done, and I signed that poster for somebody.
hmm
And then I went back into the speaker room to introduce the next person, which I believe was Heather. And somebody had come up to me and asked me to sign something else. And I was like, yes, just give me a moment and I'll come, when I come out there, let me introduce this person and whatever. And then, so in between me having to be back on the stage every hour, I'm trying to call my maintenance guy because I can't get in my house. So I would like go and I'd walk outside. I get away from people for a minute. I'd go smoke or whatever. I'm trying to call him. And then people would just start coming up to me and talking. And then I felt bad because I know that like people, I told them you can come up to my booth to come talk to me or just come up to me and come talk to me or whatever. But I was hardly at the booth. And it's just because I kept getting caught up in conversation and even like trying to shop, which it's a fantastic thing that I know all these people. I'm very grateful for that I have all these friends in this community. But even when I try to walk the vendor room and shop, like I can't just walk around and shop because I know the people selling shit and I'm obligated to like stop and talk to them for a minute, you know. And while I understand that they get it, they're not they're not going to be offended if I'm like, hey, I'm just here to buy your shit and I'm gonna walk away. They're gonna be mad about that. But I want to talk to them also. And then so I'll stop at a table and I'll start talking to them And then I look at the time and, well, now I got to go be back on stage. So being the host is hard. It is. It's difficult. Because I didn't stop moving, not one time, the whole time. So, but I liked it. I liked everybody that I met, everybody that I talked to. What was your guys' experience like over at the booth? Because I wasn't there.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's kind of grueling, which is part of the reason I left. Like it's so having a podcast, right? It would be one thing, and I got to give this to you, and I got to give this to Anne, is that you guys have figured out how to make a successful booth out of a show that doesn't inherently like look, we're not selling stuffed squatches, right? We're not selling Mothman figurines. We sell T-shirts, but they're T-shirts that are based on our designs that you come up with, or that like Emily came up with, or whatever, right? Or Dodds. So like we we sell stuff, but we're a podcast,
Right.
right? So we're there to promote the
We're selling
podcast.
ourselves. Yeah.
Yes. So if somebody comes up to the booth and they walk away with one of your QR cards that's got the link tree to where you can listen to the show, that's good because that potentially got us more listeners, right? So our success with the booth is like based on two fronts, right? Either we sell shit or we get listeners, right? So that's kind of like we have a goal. Whereas like, but it's kind of it's a harder goal because to get people to actually listen, you have to give them a positive experience at the booth that makes them want to go and listen, right? You got to sell it to them, and you got to be funny, and you got to be friendly, and you got to walk away and be like, I want to listen to that guy's show. I want to listen to their show.
Yeah.
Or
You got to
um
perform.
yes, and it's fucking I could only do that for so long. Or they got to see something that they want to buy, right? They got to look at your Emily's design or your Earth is a Serial Killer shirt or whatever, and they got to want to buy those things.
Right.
And what's nice is that, or Anne with the poppets, right? Because she was
Yes.
popping that thing the whole fucking time, and we probably sold like I don't know if you guys ended up selling out of them, but I'm sure we probably came pretty damn close.
Most of them. Yeah. The kids love those fucking things.
Right, but here's the thing: none of those kids are going to listen to the show,
No, they're not.
which is fine. We still got their
Sure
$2,
did.
so that's what I mean. Like we have this weird like hybrid goal, whereas like Crypto Theology, he's just trying to sell T-shirts,
Right.
right? The people that make like crocheted Mothman fucking stuffed animals, they're just trying to sell you toys,
Yeah.
and they do a good job because you just come and you buy their toys, and they don't have to sell you. The people selling the Funko Pops don't have to sit there and hold the Funko Pop and tell you how much you need this Funko Pop.
Right.
You're going to walk up to the table and you're going to see a Red Hulk Funko Pop and you're going to give them $19.99 for it. So for us, like it was, I mean, and thank God, like Anne was indispensable. I couldn't have done that without Red and Anne.
Oh yeah.
Because Anne was great because she came in there, she organized the T-shirts, she was popping the thing the whole time. So kids would be walking and they would see that thing shoot up in the air from 50 feet away, and it would get their attention to come over. Now, once again, that was a $2 sale. Those people did not listen to the show. They ended up buying one of my
Well,
books,
I mean, you
but
might
like
get the parents
still,
interested, and they might
uh,
listen to the show.
yeah, maybe there was one or two of those, but and I'm not saying that wasn't valuable too, because like you said, the whole point of going to these conferences, yeah, it's to network, number one, but it's also to make money,
Right.
right? And if we're selling shit, then we're making money and we're being successful. So even though we sold more of those pop-up yellow things than we did T-shirts or books, it was still a sale. It was still bringing cash in. It was still walking out with cash that we didn't walk in with. So God bless Ann for that. And and your idea to sell those things in the first place is fucking brilliant. Okay. um, I mean, and that, so there was that component of it, right? There was the sales, and then there was the networking thing. And I know there was two podcasters that I stopped and I had really meaningful exchanges with. I do not remember who the fuck you guys are. There was the one show, because my go-to question is when someone says, I have a podcast too, because it's like a third of the people there. You ask them what their last episode was on, right? And because that's something that they just
That's
spent
a good
an hour or
conversation
two
starter.
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they tell you about the show they just got done recording. And if it's something that I know about, and in both cases, we had really good back and forth because I do a podcast too where we talk about this shit. The first show that came up, it was like the bizarro version of us. It was the multi version of us, where it was a schlubby looking dude and a hot ass redhead. And they had just done an episode on not Ted the Caver, Robert Shaver, who the Shaver Mysteries for
Yeah.
Amazing Fantasy. Okay, so they had just done an episode on that. I know I haven't read the books yet. I want to. I
We
know
talked
we've
about doing
talked
it.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I told him about the Ted the Caver thing, which is this blog that went viral a couple years ago, maybe about a decade ago, actually, where someone was a cave explorer that kept a blog online, and eventually, at one point in the blog, they find this underground civilization that follows them home and stuff, and it's probably all like fiction, but it's done in a certain way. It's like if you would think like a found footage blog type hybrid thing, and it's called Ted the Caver, which is kind of a play off the Shaver stuff. So talked to them about that, had a great interaction. She was adorable, he was cool as fuck. They gave me their business card, and then I promptly lost it. And then the other one was another another podcast with a guy and a girl, and they had just done one about some cult in Australia. That's like, I don't know. They convince people not to use modern healthcare, and they do some kind of like anal cleansing thing. I don't know. We were having good laughs about it. But if you're either one of those people, please hit me up because I want to connect with you guys. You guys were awesome. But yeah, it was a lot of and here's where Red came in. Red is, I wish that guy lived in Chicago because me and him would be fucking friends.
Like, we used
I
to be
mean,
friends.
like hanging out. No, like hanging out like
Okay.
2, 3, like a couple times a week.
Yeah.
And shit.
That's
Like
cool,
like
dude.
at least Eskimo bros. Like seriously, like we would have some good times together. He is he's a lot like me where like he's very performative.
Yes.
But then you get to the point where like you're done. And you're like, I can't fucking talk to these people anymore.
No,
Because you gotta
Red was
be
tired too. And
on.
he was on. I mean, the couple times that I was there, he was fucking on top of
Dude,
it.
that was me and him. We had like this whole back and forth thing. We were doing that nonstop from 10 a.m. until I left at 4, and he said he was leaving at 5. I don't know if he ended up staying later, but like we were doing that the whole fucking day.
Yeah.
And the thing is, one person would walk up and you would do it, and maybe you'd get a sale and maybe you didn't, but it didn't matter because 30 seconds later someone else would walk up and you had to do it again. And you would just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and you keep saying the same thing over and over again. I'm sure the Whalens were so fucking sick of our voices because like Tobias, this whole thing is like, hey, I wrote those books, so if you have any questions, I'd be happy to talk about it.
Sure.
And here's the thing: everybody says the same shit to every person when they come up. And I'm not knocking him, and I'm not knocking us, but I know Tobias's fucking shtick now because I heard him say it 300 fucking times that day, and
Right.
he knows me and Red's shtick by now too because he had to hear us say it 300 fucking times that day, and like. My whole thing was like, do you like wearing clothes? Sure, we all do. Well, luckily we're selling t-shirts today, blah, blah, blah. The thing that I would do with Tobias was when he was making a sale, I'd turn around and I'd say to his customer, you know what, buy 2 copies in case you want to read it twice. And the person always laughed, and Tobias would laugh. But you know what? 5 minutes later, when he made another sale, I'd say the same fucking joke to the different customers, and me and Tobias would both laugh like we both heard it the first fucking time. And that's what you do all day long, is you make the same sales pitch to different people all day long,
All
and you
day.
have you have little routines. I learned this being a server when I used to wait tables, because I would walk up to each table and tell the same fucking jokes and the same anecdotes, make the same jokes about the menu, and they would think that I was thinking this stuff off the cuff, like I was doing it for the first time. They didn't realize that like 2 minutes later, I would walk across the restaurant to another table that I had to make the same fucking jokes. Right. So like you learn a routine. Like when you watch stand-up specials and you see Chris Rock on stage, you're hearing it for the first time, but that's not the first time he did that
Absolutely
routine.
not. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, but I can only do that for so long. And then I'm like, I don't want to talk to another motherfucker. I want, I want to get in my car and I want to drive home. I don't want to deal with anything. I can't do this shit anymore. I can't do this. Whatever people have that lets them fucking sit there. And back to my original point, I don't think the other vendors have to do that. I don't think the guy selling Funko Pops has to do that, because you walk up to his table and you either want to buy those Funko Pops or you don't.
Right.
The people selling with a table full of t-shirts, they don't have to do any of that. But you know who does have to do that? Like the Moth Boys. They have to do that. And when we sat across from them at Withville, I heard them do the same thing that because they have to make that same sales pitch. They have to be funny. They have to be charming. They have to be charismatic. And you have to walk away with their business card, and you're actually going to scan that QR code and listen to their show.
Right.
You know, and it's just like, I'm exhausted even talking about it again. I hate to be like a fucking spoonie, but I ran out of spoons. And part of it, and I got to say this, usually I can go the fucking distance, right? With Phil, I went the distance. With Marietta, I did the distance. I honestly am going to blame it on the drive the night before. That drive the night before shook me so fucking bad that I barely slept Friday night. I woke up Saturday morning and I had my usual like pre-show jitters. And by like 4 o'clock, and I knew that you had it under control with Red and Ann there, I was just like, I'm out.
Well, that's why Red and Ann were there, it is so that way, because what I'm doing the whole time is I'm talking to people the whole fucking time. People are coming up to me, they want to take pictures, they want to tell me their stories, they want to talk,
Right.
and that's my
MC
job there.
duties. You're the masters of ceremony. So, yeah.
Well, right, which made it, that much more, so, which is, they had to see my face all fucking day long, so of course they want to talk to me. That's fine. I'm totally cool with that. I love talking to people. I do. I love it. But when I go to these events, my best course of action is to have a crew there to make the sales, right? And I don't have any expectation because it's volunteer work. You guys aren't getting shit out of it. Well, Pat, maybe you are because it helps grow the show. But, as far as like Red and Ann, they don't get anything from this, like, except for knowing that they made me happy. And I guess that's important to them. So, knowing that they helped me out made my life easier. But yeah, Anne is not typically, I mean, she does do the jumpy thing, which does draw people over. But Anne's not the people person. Anne is the brains behind the operation. And that was kind of, when we had her on, kind of the idea that, I was letting people know, because I talk about her enough, she is the brains behind the operation.
She is 100% the tour manager. If
Absolutely.
this was a band, that's exactly what she would be. She would be the
Right.
person that makes sure that the hotel rooms are booked, that the tour bus is on time, that the roadies are doing their job, that the venue is giving us their cut of the door, that the merch booth people are doing their thing.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
and
It's
as
invaluable.
somebody, it's a multi-headed dragon that she slays every time she comes out.
Yeah.
And I could not, I have, listen, I'm not trying to get in her pants. I'm fucking 100% speaking from the heart when I say thank you so goddamn much. That any success that we experienced on Saturday would not be nearly as much as it was if it was not for her.
Oh, yeah.
She made that event a success for us. And I am eternally grateful.
Oh, yeah. I
For
owe
her and
Anne.
Red too. Red did it in his own mind. And Red said one thing. Red kept saying one thing that pissed me off is that he kept, sometimes when he would refer to the show, he would refer to the show like he wasn't a part of it. Motherfucker, yes you are. You're part of the, on Wednesdays we talk Weird Army.
A part of my
You're
crew. Yeah.
you're a 4-star general, and on Wednesdays we talk Weird Army.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
We don't always have everybody come back on the show. There's a reason why Red does.
What
Actually,
I,
the one episode with Red, the Liminal Spaces episode, is in our top 5. Listen to it all
whenever
the time.
when I wasn't able to make those shows because I was in ill health. The one him the two guys that you had fill in were Tobias and Red,
Red, yeah.
because I the only two guys that I gave my blessing to have come in and not cuck me. I was like, well, they'll fit this chair, and I still maintain that if anything ever happens to me, I can't make a show get Red, because he is, and that guy should have a podcast of his own too.
I agree.
Seriously, he's 100% personality. He's a genuinely beautifully intelligent man. Man, let me tell you know how much I love that guy. He showed me a meme that he was working on to roast me because it was me trying to say meteorological, and I said meteor, fuck you, Red, and he was working on a meme for it, and it was so fucking funny, and it was making fun of me, and I appreciate people, because I'm not going to act like this is like we invented this thing on the south side of Chicago, but shit talking for us is a term of endearment. I don't know if it's an Irish thing, I don't know if it's a Midwest thing or what, but he speaks the same language as I do, and I love it that he busts balls and he's as funny as he is about it, and nothing but fucking respect and love for that guy. And I'm telling you, if he ever were to decide to podcast, maybe he doesn't want the commitment or whatever, he would be successful, because he's got a wonderful personality. He's a
Yeah.
great showman. Yes.
Yeah, he's a good. I'm glad you fell in love this weekend, Pato. That's beautiful.
I should have been doing shots of tequila out of his belly button.
Right.
That was the misstep. Jesus, it'd be a lot smaller of a shot glass too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know, Red. Do you have an innie or an outie? He listens to the show. He'll tell me.
Oh yeah.
Are you an innie or an outie person? I've never seen it. Maybe I have. Well, I mean, anyway.
I bet he's like a troll now. I bet he's got an outie.
You think he's an outie guy? I know he. I know he. I can't believe I'm going to say this on the show, but I do know that he has a Harry Potter scar on his penis, but I've never seen it. So,
like a lightning bolt?
Yeah.
Is he a Horcrux?
Probably.
I don't think we should make too many Harry Potter references. People are going to think that we support J.K. Rowling.
Oh no, fuck J.K. Rowling. Fuck Harry Potter. I was never into this.
I know what a Horcrux is. I don't know. Why would I know what that is?
Yeah, that's I know that about Reds, and now you all do too. That's because of Anne. Anyway, yeah, they are great. I think that they're great together. It's so fucking funny because for the longest time with Anne and Red, because like these are like my personal friends, right? I didn't get to know them because of all this. I've known them for a very long time. And it's funny because like I'll hang out with them and like I'll hang out with them individually, and you kind of forget that they're related. I hardly ever hang out with them both together. Like we usually don't all three hang out together. Okay. So like you'll kind of forget that like, Anne and Red are siblings. And then like one of them will do something, and they're both very quirky people. Like, don't get me wrong. Like I said, Anne's kind of antisocial, I mean, she holds her own, right? She's pleasant to be around. Don't get me wrong. But she's not performative, and she's not, out there, but Red is, so they're very, very opposite sides of the spectrum, but then they're both very quirky, and they've got their little things that like they do, their little cadences and these little phrases that they'll use just in regular conversation. And it's so funny because then like it's so plain as day of how similar they are. I call them Anne and Bizarro Anne, and then they actually got into a fight over it at the festival because Red's like, no, I'm Red and she's Bizarro Red. That's like, you guys figure this out. I don't. They're hilarious. They're great.
They're opposite sides of the same coin.
It's perfect.
And I think they complement each other very well.
Yeah.
And the two of them both brought something uniquely different, but absolutely invaluable to the festival. Right. And I wish that we could bring them to fucking everything.
Yeah. I'm going to try to get Red to come more. I mean, Anne for the most part will go,
Yeah.
But I want to get, this is the first time Red has come and helped out. Well, he came to the masquerade ball that was just a fucking failure, but we all had fun anyway, hanging out at the fucking at Terror Town, just drinking or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to get them both to come as much as possible. So hopefully, if you guys stop by the booth and it's not me or Pat O, it's probably Ann or Red, and you should definitely take the time and get to know these weirdos because they're great. And they deserve they deserve a dose of wholesome gratitude as well. So
If we had, I almost felt a little bit bad because I thought if we had this event in Chicago, I don't know if I could leave Ashley here with two people that would be. And I don't try to talk shit about my Chicago friends because I know a lot of them listen to the show, but like, you got good people. You have a really good fucking support
oh,
system,
thank you.
and I'm very happy for you. And that's it. That's all I say. I'm not gonna stop.
It was,
You move on.
we'll stop. Yeah, exactly.
So my story, I left.
Yeah, Pat left.
I pieced out and drove back. The thought of being home by like 8:30 was absolutely intoxicating. So I had a 12-pack of beer back in the hotel room that I gave you guys
Yeah.
and gave you a room key, and because I had bought the room for both nights, so I was like, fuck it, and drove back, and so didn't tell my wife that I was coming home, and I surprised her, and
And she was there with the milkman.
no, that would have been hot. No, unfortunately, they were watching Poker Face and they're in their fucking jammies on the couch, and yeah, it was all good. It was good. It was good to get back and unpack and spend the night in my own bed and shit. And I wish I would have hung out. But so did you? Let me just ask you this real quick. Did you make it to the brewery at all?
Yeah, so we did
How was that fucking drive
to the brewery.
down? Yes,
Yeah.
because here's what I did Friday night. Like I said, like I had this whole thing where I had to switch hotel rooms. I wanted to go to the brewery. I went to the brewery Friday night just to pick up food because I figured, okay, I didn't know if anyone was going to be out. I knew Tobias and Emily were in the same kind of state that I was, where they were like, fuck it, we just had a hellacious drive. We're going to stay in. And I was like, all right, well, I'm here in Cincinnati. I might as well go out. And I didn't know if anyone was going to be at the brewery, anyone from the convention. So I was like, I'll go. And then you were there, and I didn't know if you guys were going to go there. And then I had already placed the order to get my food. And then by the time I got my food, you were like, well, we're fucking leaving. So I ended up going to the brewery just to pick up my food, bring it back to the hotel room. But and it was like less than a mile away from my room to the brewery. And it was a $30 Lyft ride. I have no idea why. I have never seen it cost $30 to go less than a fucking mile on Lyft. Okay. But it was. And I was like, well, fuck that. As much as I did not want to drive anymore, I thought, I'll go to the brewery. And I thought, how bad of a drive could it be? Less than a mile. Little did I realize that I was in like this fucking descent into hell, like Tokyo Drift, hairpin turn. Like, how fucking insane was that? And then you get down to it, and you're in this weird like cavern of buildings. I couldn't fucking believe it. I was like, this is fucking. I am in the Twilight Zone, which I guess fit the vibe of the weekend.
And that bridge was horrifying.
And the thing is, I had motherfuckers behind me going down that hill that must have made that drive every day for the past 50 fucking years, right?
Right.
Like, what do you mean? Why are you going so slow? Like, they're doing they're Tokyo drifting and shit. And I'm like, ugh! It was so nerve-wracking and scary. And then I got there and I asked the bartender, because you park in that thing, and then I saw that there was like a road on the other side of it. And I thought, okay, maybe my map just took me like the wrong way, or there's another way out. And I was like, is there any way out of here besides that fucking thing? He's like, nope, bro, that's how you're going back up. And I'm thinking, why do you put a bar at the bottom of that kind of fucking street?
Yeah.
Like that. I'm like, what do you do when it snows? Like, you're just fucked? Do people just live down here until it stops snowing and then they fucking climb? I don't know, man. So you tell me. So that was it. I'm out of the story at this point. I had seen the brewery, and that's like, I was trying to tell the Whalens about it the next day, where I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I'll go to this thing tonight, but like, I ain't driving. Because I'm not having like a fucking beer and then
Yeah,
trying to pilot my way out of this. Like,
getting back up
nah,
there.
that's
Well,
worse than the fucking trench, the dust. Like, no, I don't know. All right.
well, okay. So Anne, right, drives this big ass fucking Jeep Cherokee. All right. That's what she drives. All right. Anne drives us everywhere. And I trust Anne with my life. I mean, actually I was like bragging to her about her driving while we were driving down there. Because like when we went to the High Strangeness Erie event up there, we drove through the worst fucking ice storm ever. And at one point, like we get into Erie and like we're going down this hill and it's just a whole sheet of ice and the fucking Jeep starts going sideways. And Anne is just fucking cool as a cucumber. She corrected it. She's fine. She's like, let's go. Anne is a badass bitch when it comes to driving. Okay. But Anne did not like those turns. She did not like those. Now, she does them. She does it. She'll do it.
Yeah,
And I mean, driving all over West Virginia. I mean, West Virginia is just like that road. It's like that almost everywhere there.
yeah.
So
Because you're in the mountains, and
right,
that's like that. You forget like the whole town is on the top of a hill,
right,
and then this brewery is in like a little canyon or some shit.
yeah, yeah. And so she's used to it. So I mean, we went. So initially we went to the brewery, and when we showed up there, only a couple of other people showed up. I guess the Moth Boys took everybody else to a different brewery, and I didn't really know how I felt about that. And so instead, I just decided to go back and hang out with the Waylands. Were hanging out at the room, and honestly, like again, this is the first time I'd ever met them. Um, they're like some of my best friends in this field, and so like that's who I wanted to like. That was my priority with like who to hang out with anyway. So, because I don't get to see them all the time. So we left that brewery and went back to their hotel and hung out with them and fucking Heather Mosier. And we had a great time. We had a really good time. Tobias is hilarious. If you want him to like you, just tell him that you like his presentation and you'll be best friends. He told us so. No, he's really funny. But yeah, we had a great time just kind of chit chatting and just talking about things. And it was very chill. We probably stayed for about 2 hours. I mean, really just kind of chilling, and then we went home. But it was good. It was a good time. So that was cool. We were talking about so I was like sharing with them how you and I will do a show on a topic and then all of a sudden it appears everywhere. So I use the spontaneous human combustion. So this isn't something we really talk about on the show itself, but this does happen a lot to me and Pedo.
Yeah,
And it's
it
like super obscure topics.
let me put it like this. I am not a conspiracy. Well, I guess I am a conspiracy weirdo because I do this
Yeah,
fucking
you are.
show. But like it happens,
It
and
happens a lot.
it happens about once every month and a half. It happens a lot, and we've been doing the show we're in our fourth year now.
No, third.
It, well, a calendar year. I mean, because we started 2019, didn't we?
No.
Or we started 2020?
I started it in 2020. You started it at the ass end of 2020.
Right. You started in like spring of 2020, and then I started like in August with you.
Yes, 2023.
You had like 6 months without me,
3 years.
and
The third
then
year
but
anniversary.
2020. So yeah, it's 2023. So like roughly third year. Okay, never mind. But still,
Still,
it happens about every 5 or 6 episodes. Then boom, we'll open up Paranormality magazine. And they'll be like, wow, there's an article about it, some obscure topic that we just fucking
yeah.
talked about. Or what was that? What's that other? I don't know if you want to mention them.
No,
But what's the other site?
I'm not
There's
going to. Because
where we did. What was the topic though? Because it was
it
so
was
fucking
it
crazy.
was spontaneous human combustion. It's been a couple of them. So here's the thing. It probably does happen more than that. But we talk about things that other people talk about, right? We did the episode on Roswell. Well, sure, people are going to talk about Roswell. It's big, right? But this is like small things. Like I said, spontaneous human combustion. Nobody talks about it. That's why we did a show on it. The Bermuda Triangle, right? We pretty much have figured out the Bermuda Triangle now. Like we know like the secrets of it, and nobody fucking talks about it. And we talk about it, and like, bam, here's this other publication, podcast, whatever, something does it, and then We did the lottery curses episode. Who the fuck have you ever heard talk about the lottery curse?
Yes, that was that. Yeah.
And then I get on YouTube and there's this channel that I subscribe to that like runs all these documentaries, and they did one on the lottery curses. So it's just constant. So Pat's like, "Oh, we manifest the universe or something." He said you said something like that, and so I was like talking about that while we're all hanging out, and Heather is like, "Oh my god, I'm terrified of spontaneous human combustion." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that." And we all just kind of joked about that, how that was as kids we thought that would be a real issue. You know what I mean? And um, so then Heather's driving back home on Sunday, and she sends me a voice message, and she's like, "Hey, so I'm driving back home." She's like 3-4 hours away from where we were, and she's like, "And I'm listening to it's a podcast called Lore, which I've heard is really good. I've never heard it."
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's all right.
And
He's very. I'm not gonna. No, go on.
okay, all right, sure.
Let's
she's
leave it at that.
she's listening to Lore, and she was like, and it's just that it's episode 44 comes on, and guess what? It's about spontaneous human combustion. So it's just crazy because they have a huge catalog, and of all those episodes, like that's the one that plays. Like that's what we talked about. And so I don't know what it is that we do, Pato, but there's some type of magic afoot, and I don't hate it. So
Yeah. So let's go back.
sure.
Let's go back to something that you just kind of glossed over. What's this other brewery that they took them to? First of all, who did they hijack? And because this sounds odd, so there was no one at the Cartridge Brewery.
So like a couple people showed up. Jeff Craig showed up, obviously, because I mean
Yeah.
he told everybody continuously that's where the after party was going to be at.
Yeah.
Had even like talked to them. They had a Loveland Frog IPA available, and I mean all kinds
They
of
sure did. I saw that they had all kinds of stuff up for it the night before when I was there. Yeah.
right. So they were, that was the whole thing. So Jeff Craig showed up. Cabinet of Curiosities, I think, showed up, which I don't really know those people very well. Sherwin, who listens to the show, he showed up, which is
Oh,
weird.
that's someone that I really wanted to meet because I interact with them on Twitter a lot.
You probably did talk to him. He
Okay.
was up at the booth a couple times. I just don't think he's the guy that gave us the marker and the pen, the nunchuck pens in the beginning.
I don't know.
It's
I don't
okay.
know,
It's
but
fine. Yeah, you meet lots of people at these things. But yeah, Sherwin.
Well, no one says like here's my Twitter handle,
Hey, I'm
but that's
Sherwin.
honestly what you
Right.
should do.
I have like blindness. I don't care how many times I look at your pictures. I don't know who the fuck you are when you approach me at an event. You need to tell me who you are.
Yeah, just say, "Hey, I'm this person on Twitter." Was Courtney Block there?
No, she didn't show up.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't think so.
No, she didn't.
Because that was another thing where I didn't know that they were gonna. Well, it didn't matter because I didn't go up. But
I think she was just going to show up just to show up, but she didn't.
yeah.
And that's fine. But yeah, so and I believe that was it. Another guy who does art, I don't know. I mean, he showed up. But then they were like, well, yeah, the Moth Boys were telling people to go to some other brewery. I can't remember the name of.
What the fuck is that about?
I don't know. I don't know.
Let me go through their pictures and see if I can. Because you know what, they did post something. I thought, and yeah. Here's them at a bar. That's right. Oh, Cassie, you dirty bird. You dirty birdie. Yeah, she was like, "Oh, I'm not going out tonight because I have kids." And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. When she said that, it made me miss my kids, and it's part of the reason I turned around and drove home. So she gave better advice than she could follow. You're in trouble, girl.
Oh, you leave her alone. Her kids are fine, but yeah,
right. But I was like, that's such an adult. I'm like, God damn it, that's right. I am a parent. I miss my kids. I'm driving home tonight. And then she's like, "Fuck it, I'm going out."
wow, because she's going.
She was doing the belly button tequila shots.
No, Cassie's sober.
No, I know. Oh, I was. You know what? That's the other thing is that I am sober too.
Yeah,
which is fine. I still would have gone out because I realized that just because I'm sober doesn't mean that I like drunk girls any less, or drunk people any less. What am I talking about? So yeah, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I don't know if there was anything that was like weird about it. I don't know if it was just there was a miscommunication about where everybody was meeting up.
Whatever. I love how diplomatic you are. I will not ruin your thing.
Well,
Go ahead,
I mean, I'm
sure. I'm sure it
live
was an
and-
accident.
I don't want to make assumptions.
Or what are they gonna do? Kick our ass? Like, it's all right.
No, but there's no reason to go creating drama with people that are
I
within the
don't
same
think, just
circle.
like there's no reason to split the fucking party, bro. Everybody that plays D&D knows you don't split the party.
I
You keep the
agree.
party together.
I thought it was weird. I wasn't invited, so I don't know why.
Oh, so yeah, but God forbid we say anything to ruffle feathers when you're not getting invited to the fucking competing after party.
Yeah,
I want to stay in those people's good graces. Fuck you.
yeah. No, nobody tried to reach out to me at all.
Well, I'm sure if I had still been in town, that I would have been invited, but unfortunately, I ran home to be with my family.
But I mean, I went and hung out with the coolest people that were there anyway, so it's fine.
Agreed. Agreed.
You know, that's fine. I'm not interested in the "you can't sit with us" thing. Like that's it's whatever. Like
It for me, it because so when we started doing this, like you knew you were like more in the so which you still are. You're more of like the social aspect of this than I am. Like I knew Tobias before I even did the show. I knew Tobias from when I did the show with Loyola. Um, I and so and me and him go to like D&D stuff. We do like game hole together and shit. Like that guy is like my friend because of normal stuff, not because of anything having to do with the show or like the scene or anything. Um, but yeah, I kind of was late to the party on that. And what was interesting, and I was thinking about this the other day, and I will be diplomatic when I say this, is that some of the people that were like the tent poles of that circus are not even around anymore. Like, and it hasn't even been that long,
yeah,
right? And like some of the big faces on the totem pole aren't even fucking relevant. And I don't know. I think that to me says, why do we even need to do it like this?
right.
Why is it that no matter where you fucking go, there's gonna be people that try to build up fences and then act as gatekeepers? Why?
I agree. Right.
I think that it speaks more about human nature, and even in a gang of outcasts, you're still gonna have a cool kids table,
Yeah.
and that to me, someone that's kind of like the coolest. I don't feel the need to be like that because I would never do that with you know. I don't know. It's just it's interesting. I think it's something that it's inescapable. Unfortunately, it's human nature, and you're gonna see it in everywhere. You know what I mean? I'm sure you go to fucking you know the jungles of wherever, and there'll be the cool head shrinkers sit over here, and the outcast head shrinkers that don't shrink as many heads, or that shrink heads differently, have to go sit on that fucking rock. You know what I mean? Like,
I do. I find
there's
it
always
very
going to be like weird divisions. Whatever,
I
man.
find it very sad, which is ironic because, like, we actually, I mean, when I hung out with the Waylands, we talked about this a lot because
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
we did, and because you think that these people are your friends, and like they're not actually really your friends, and it's shitty. It sucks, and you kind of become hardened to it, and you kind of become very cold and bitter. And then the good people that do come around, you may miss the opportunity because you're so fucking bitter from everybody else. I mean, you're already the black sheep in your own fucking world, right? With your own family and your own friends. You're already the fucking weirdo. And then you think you find your people, and you're the fucking black sheep of the black sheep, and it sucks. It hurts. It's not a fun
Right.
feeling. I don't know why that happens. I
Well, I
wish
think
I
it happens.
knew.
There's no law that says that you got to be cool. There isn't. Some people just aren't cool, and maybe they think they're cool, but like, there's nothing cool about that. Like, there's no way that you can spin that and be like, and have the punchline of the story be, "But I'm a good person." Like, you're not,
Yeah.
you know. And I don't, I think that inclusion is something that people like to talk about to a certain extent, but I don't think they really mean it.
Yeah.
I think that as much as we see culture and society pushing towards this idea of inclusion, um, We got a long way to go.
I've never met anybody in this community and decided that I explicitly want to exclude them. That's never happened. And you know, it probably never will because I'm just not that person. I don't know. If people don't think I'm cool or don't like me or whatever, I mean, that's their fucking loss. I don't care. You know, I don't. I mean, yeah, I do. Okay, I'm lying. I do care to an extent. Nobody wants to be disliked. Let's be honest. And obviously, um, I want to feel important and I have a need more so on a different level because I host a show and I'm an internet personality, right? I mean, clearly I want to feel special. So I can't act like it doesn't hurt my feelings, but at the end of the day, um, I have people that are very important to me that I have met through this community that are fucking saints. And I appreciate the hell out of them. And I wouldn't have met those people if I didn't go through the fucking troves of bullshit and people that suck to get to there, you know?
Some people, and this isn't necessarily directed towards anyone. This is legitimately. I'm zooming out now. I'm not making like thinly veiled left-handed fucking compliments about other people that were at Frogman Fest. This is legitimately me just talking about human nature in general. That there's some people that withhold affection or recognition as a form of control or abuse. And this is something I've seen in many different ways from many different people over the many different years that I've been alive. It's nothing particular to the cryptid shit or the podcast shit or fucking anything. I've been in bands with people like this. I've had family members like this where, like, regardless of what you do, you will never get a pat on the back and thumbs up from them because they realize that that is all you really want. And even if you deserve it, or even if they a part of them thinks that you deserve it, they won't do it because as long as they don't do it, you will keep singing and dancing and vying for their attention. And that makes them feel special. So the only way to combat that is to take that away from them and say, no, your opinion means shit to me. If you don't care enough to treat people decently, then I don't care enough about whatever the fuck you think about anything.
Right.
And that's the honest to God truth. And that, like, I think that, being performative or being an extrovert or being a somebody that creates content, being a person that makes stuff, obviously, yes, we are looking for an audience, right? Otherwise we wouldn't be doing this. Otherwise these would just be conversations that you and I are having on the phone every week. The fact that we record them and then put them out on the internet just goes to show that we want people to listen to it, right?
Sure.
And I think that, you know, even though obviously we do this because we're seeking an audience, that I completely forgot where I was going with this. That's the most Pato thing I could say. I forgot. I lost my train of thought. Completely went off the rails. Oh, no, you cannot let other people be like the deciding factor of your like sense of self-worth. You cannot leave like your vision of success up to like be dependent on someone else's stamp of approval, because if you focus on the wrong people, they will withhold that stamp of approval. Even if you've technically earned it 100 times over, they won't give it to you just to fuck you and make you feel bad about yourself, because that's how they feel good about themselves. You cannot get your sense of self-worth wrapped up in another person's fucking shit, because you don't know what their shit is and you don't know how fucked up it is. And just because someone looks a certain way or talks a certain way or acts a certain way, you don't know what's in their heart, right? So you never want to like let someone's approval or disapproval of you really fucking make or break your day. You can't, because you can't give another person that kind of power over you, because people are inherently flawed. You know what I mean? And if you give your trust and you give your sense of worth to the wrong person, they can just completely destroy you and they won't even think twice about it. You know? So I understand what you're saying, is that, you would hope at this point that we would get recognition, or that we would get this, or that we would get that. And sometimes we've gotten it and sometimes we don't. Like I said, I subscribe to Paranormality Magazine. Every time we make the top 10, I send you a picture of it. Like, look what we got. And every time I open up that magazine and I fucking see it, we did it this month. What are we at? We're even if it's like 8, whatever, who gives a shit? Still, like, that's pretty cool, right? And I know how like we weren't on there for the longest time. What the fuck, And now we're on there like kind of like every couple months. And that to me doesn't make or break whether or not I'll get up and do the show the next Monday. But it's still cool to be in there. Like, you got invited to MC the fucking Frogman Fest and be one of the speakers, and you spoke in front of a fucking packed room. And I watched those doors because our table was parked right in front of them. Nobody left.
Yeah.
Nobody, and
Yeah.
I paid attention that whole fucking time because I was worried about you. And I even said it to, you can ask Red and Ann. I was worried about you. Not that I didn't think you could do it, but I care. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, I hope she crushes it, man. It's a fucking packed house in there. If you thought the room was going to be half empty and you were going to have an easy time, you weren't, because there was more people than chairs in that room.
Yeah.
And you killed it. No one ran away, and people came up and talked to you afterwards and told you did a good job and fucking wanted to. No, I wish they all bought copies of my book, but whatever. Maybe you forgot to mention that in your speech.
Let them listen to the show, get to know you, then they will.
You know what though? Let me say this about that book. The one thing I want to say. Some lady and woman, God bless you, I don't know who you are. If I did, I'd name one of my grandkids after you. Some woman walked up to our booth and had a smile on her face ear to ear and said, "Are you pedo?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Is this your book?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Oh my God, I got to buy one." And I'm like, "Who are you?" And she's like, "I listened to the show. I just started listening like 2 weeks ago." And I was like, "Oh." And she's like, "Yeah, I heard you talk about it last episode." And I was like, holy shit. And I know you walked up like right when she was leaving, and you were like, what happened? And I'm like, I just sold a book. And you're like, you're always surprised that people listen to the show.
You are.
And I am. But like, that's not somebody that like I'm friends with that wanted to buy a copy or read a copy, like,
right,
because
to
they're my
support
friend.
you, right.
That woman didn't know me from him, and she fucking like
Genuinely wanted to buy your book.
And you think I give a fuck if I didn't get invited to a different after party?
Yeah.
Like, fuck that.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
get what you're saying.
That means
Validation.
more than anything.
Yeah. The validation is something we, as podcasters, you don't get a lot of, right? We don't have a YouTube comment section, for people to like interact, and then like when we go to these things, there's people, I know people like listen to the show, but don't mention it right off the rip. I've talked to people. I'm like, oh yeah, well, Wednesdays we talk weird, whatever. And then like I'll be like, here, take a card. And they're like, oh, I listen to the show. And it's like, just tell us that. The validation is so invaluable. Like, it doesn't matter how much money you make at the booth. It doesn't matter. You're right. What after party you go to. I felt better. I went up to some guy's table that was vending. I didn't know who the hell he was, but he knew who the hell I was. And that felt great. It felt great to stand up in a room full of people, whether or not they knew me or not, and have a packed house. Because not everybody's talk was packed. And mine was. And that felt amazing. Didn't matter if I walked out of there with $0. Because I had what I came there for. And
which we didn't do that either, but
no, we didn't do that either. We did pretty well. But, we just don't get a lot of that. And especially in this field, and especially, a lot of the things that I do is behind the scenes. Like, you guys don't even know. I talked to a guy there who had a local sighting of what's dubbed Littlefoot, which is actually really fucking interesting to me. And like we're networking, and it's somebody that I'm really looking forward to talking to in the future and doing more of these investigations. And but nobody knows any of that. I don't put any of that really out there. Sometimes I'll put it up on the Patreon about like what kinds of things I'm doing and stuff like that. But like all this research, like nobody knows how many hours I've spent doing this. And the people that do know, because they also do it, when they look at you and go, hey, great job, it's important. When I was like talking to Heather, and just talking about how exhausting all this, she's like, but you got to keep doing it. And like, that felt fucking amazing. Like for Heather Mosier to tell me to just keep doing this, like it felt good. And so I get what you're saying. I know what you're saying. So, at the end of the day, like, cool, I won't sit at the cool kids table. But I am going to, and have already started to make my own table. And let me tell you something, brother. You're invited. Because I'm not a piece of shit, and I don't care who you are. I will talk to you. I will genuinely sit there. If you've ever talked to me at any of these events, I will sit there and talk to you like a fucking person, because I don't believe in the fucking cattiness and the popularity contest, and that's not what I'm here for. And I will never be that person. And if I ever do become that person, I give you all of you full staff permission to tell me that I've become that person, because I don't ever want to be that. Like, it's definitely given me a really good perspective about what I do and do not want to turn into. So, and fuck that.
Uh,
Yeah.
I'm going to quote a great man and say, let's have a toast to the scumbags. Let's have a toast for the assholes. Let's have a toast for the jerk offs. Every one of them that I know.
Our soapbox, our little feel good podcast we got going on here.
Our Lord and Savior Kanye West.
It's nothing but it's nothing but love over here. That's just not. I don't have it in me.
You know what? I think from what you're telling me, Saturday night you were at the cool kids
I
table.
was, yeah.
And you know what? Saturday night I was watching Poker Face with my family, and that was exactly where I wanted to be too.
That was cool kids table, exactly.
Right. You make your own cool kids. You make your own tribe,
and that's why I really wasn't going to talk much about it, because I just didn't.
I know. I bring out the worst.
Those people didn't even really deserve that much time.
You know what? Here's the thing. I'm not even shitting on anybody. I don't fucking care.
Well,
I don't care.
Who knows? Maybe it was a big miscommunication, but the fact of the matter is, this is not the first time this has happened.
I don't fucking care. You know what I mean? Who cares? I'm not even going to say anything else. It's completely fine. And here's the thing. We got Monster Fest in June.
Oh yeah.
And then we got Withville right after that. And I don't even know. I got to rethink that. I might have to. I'm deaf. There is. I was telling Danny, there's no way in fuck I'm missing Withville. Like, even though that's the further one away, that's 10 hours away from my house. You were sitting there bragging about how you got to drive 40 minutes back and forth to this fucking thing. I don't have that luxury, and Withville is going to be even farther away. But if there's one event that I make this year, if there's one event that I will most definitely, come hell or high water, be at, it is the Withville UFO Fest. And it's for the same reason why I would never miss the Frogman Festival either. As bad as that weather was on Friday, and I knew that weather was going to be bad. I'm an engineer. I pay attention to the fucking weather. I track the weather. Like, I could tell you the weather outlook for the rest of Chicago this week right now.
Yeah, you're a weather nerd. I get it.
I am. I have to. It's part of my job.
Same.
And there was no way in hell I was going to miss it, because I love Jeff Gregg.
Oh yeah.
And just like there's no way in hell that I'm going to miss Withville, even though it's 10 fucking hours away, and the thought of driving 10 hours to sell T-shirts is not something that appeals to me right now. But I love the Van Husses.
Love them, yeah.
And I will drive 10 hours to be at their event. And I'll same thing with Jeff. I don't care if I have to drive through tornadoes next time and ride cows through tornadoes. I will do that to make it to the Frogman Part 2.
Yeah.
Because I love those people.
I die for those people.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. I love you, Jeff, but I got shit I want to do still. Like, Jeff's had a good run. I don't need to sacrifice my life for his. He's all good. He understands.
I understand. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Definitely, for sure. Speaking on the opposite spectrum, there again, some really fucking fantastic people that deserve all the good things in the world, and that's what matters to me the most. And that's why I love these events. Again, it's because it's a chance for me to see my friends, and I love them. And I'm sad that we all live so far away from each other. I know you guys feel the same way. Otherwise we could, hang out this Friday or whatever. It's unfortunate, but
yeah, me and the Whalens did talk about that, because they don't live that far away from me. Like, they're an hour and a half away from me, and granted, I see them more often, but we need to start doing stuff together more.
Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, so it was great. One thing that I did appreciate the heck out of, just seriously, guys, if you're not already, I'm plugging more people, but if you're not already checking out the Singular 40 website on a at least weekly basis, if you haven't bought Tobias Whalen's books, if you're not following the guy on social media, which of course on a social media it's definitely a lot more him, but you should. So I got to sit in for a couple of moments of like his talk, and then like kind of catch some things about it, which I wanted to sit for the whole thing, but my phone kept going nuts, and That's just a whole nother. I didn't want to be rude, so. But it was really funny because like he opened up his presentation and just even like the cover of his presentation, mine's the same one. Like we have the same cover for our present, and I mentioned that I was like that's hilarious. We both have like the same, which it's Mothman, Hey, it's like a blackish gray background with red eyes on it. I mean, what else are you gonna do? It's fitting. But some of the other ideas and things that he talks about, I mean, we definitely are on the same page with those beliefs. So if you like what I do, you're gonna love what he does. It's just that he's been doing it longer than I have. So, he's definitely got more experience there. Go support that guy. Fuck. I mean,
His Lake Michigan Mothman book, that's the book that I interviewed him about when I was on the Loyola podcast. And that one's really good. But his second book, I think it's Strange Tales or something, that one is unbelievable. And I think it really showcases him as being an excellent writer. And it makes I can't wait to read his next book, because that is it's light years beyond just doing simple research and kind of talking about a paranormal flap or whatever. It really is a triumph of storytelling in a medium that sometimes is just a lot of fact-based reporting
yeah.
or names and dates and interviews. It elevates it beyond that, and it adds a element of controlled, stylized narrative that's not often seen in this field.
Yeah.
And I could not recommend it enough. It's a great book.
Definitely. And I'm not gonna act like Tobias hasn't done great things. I mean, he's done, he's been on TV, he's documentaries, he's fucking written books, he's done some really great things, but he's just still very underappreciated, I feel like, in this field as a researcher. Because we just have all of this, you got people that just are entertainers. That's strictly
Well,
actually
you know what he calls them, and I
professional
love
wrestlers.
this.
Yep, I know.
Yes,
I know.
I heard him say that. I was like,
It's
and I hate to say it, but like, I think I'm a professional wrestler. I was like, I could live with that. I think I'm the Diesel of the. You know who Diesel is? That was Kevin Nash's like first. I always like Kevin Nash.
but
Is it Kevin Nash? Is that who I'm thinking of? I don't want to say the wrong one. Who is?
you're gonna get beat up if you get this wrong by a wrestler. A lot of our
No, it's
listeners are
Kevin
wrestlers,
Nash. It's
so.
Kevin Nash, 100%. Because then he was in Magic Mike as well, that fits me to a T. So yes, I am the Kevin Nash of.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Of
fuck yeah,
cryptozoology. Well,
yeah.
right, and no, his analogy on that is fucking perfect. I mean, go listen to him more in depth. But you've got professional wrestlers, and then you've got Olympic wrestling, right? They're not the same thing. Professional wrestlers are strictly entertainment. It's not real, right? It's very, showy offy and glitzy and glammy. Whereas like professional wrestling, like takes actual fucking skill. It's people that train their whole lives to do this. I mean, and he's right. I mean, that's how it is in this community. And it just depends on the
Uh,
side. You're not wrong for liking either. I'll say that. You're not, whatever side you fall on. Maybe you like the ghost hunting shows and all that bullshit, but it is bullshit. It's not real. And, or maybe you actually are interested in the science and like you can't wait until we discover something. Maybe you like a little bit of both. Hey, I like a little bit of both sometimes. I'm speaking at the fucking Squonkapalooza festival. The squonk isn't real, you guys. That's not a real thing. But I'm gonna speak there because it's fun and I do like the gimmick, to a point. You can enjoy both, but we can't forget about the Olympic wrestlers, because they really put the work in for what they do.
sure. I am to. It's like like Tobias is like, what was that guy's name? Like the Steiner brothers, like the dudes that were like actual wrestlers with the headgear and all that shit. And I'm just Big Daddy Cool. You know what I mean?
Okay. However, you gotta
Like,
put yourself in there.
no, he's an Olympic wrestler. He deserves a gold medal and all that shit. And me and
And you're aiming for the championship belt. I gotcha.
me and Jim Jam are the fucking the nasty boys.
You would,
We lick each other's armpits.
yeah.
Fucking
That's,
jump off the top rope with pocket sand.
yeah. You and Jim Jam are the nasty boys, yeah.
Right. And Red's like our Mr. Fuji.
Oh gosh.
And you're Miss Elizabeth.
No, I'm not.
No. All right.
No. I want to be the announcer guy.
Gorilla Monsoon?
No, the other guy. Oh my god, what's his fucking name?
Jerry Lawler?
I don't know. The guy that yells a lot. I guess they all yell a lot. I just want to be somebody that yells a lot and gets
Oh,
excited
Jimmy
about
Hart,
things.
the guy with the megaphone and the glasses, the mouth of the South.
I don't know who these people are really.
I 90s wrestling. I haven't watched wrestling in so long.
Yeah.
I can't. The latest reference I can make would be like Diamond Dallas Page, Diamond Cutter. Like that's
Yeah.
it. Like
I watched wrestling back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and then that's when I stopped
the
watching.
only thing my son does that disappoints me is he does not get into wrestling, and I keep telling him like, will you just get into wrestling? Because I'll go with you to all the events. We'll go to Raw when it comes to Chicago. Like we'll do that shit. Like just get into it. Like get excited about it. Like I'll watch wrestling with you. He's like, nah, that shit's stupid. I want to be like, fuck you, dude.
It is
Stupid
stupid,
little.
but that's why it's so fun.
But what's the point of being a 12-year-old boy if you're not into fucking wrestling? And no offense to like 35-year-old men that are all still into wrestling. That's not a slight against you. I'm just saying, like, I know there's a lot of bleed over in the cryptid community between wrestling fans and cryptid fans and Glenn Danzig fans. So it's a big old Venn diagram.
Of fucking fandoms. I'm into some of it. You know, I do think it's fun, but I don't sit and watch it ever.
Just when Tobias said that, when he's like, there's a lot of professional wrestlers in this film,
But
I was
he's
like,
so fucking
dude,
right.
it was so perfect. But at the same time, I was like, well, I want to. That's what I want to do. Then I want to be one of those guys. Yeah, I don't want to be like some guy interviewing people, investigating, making fucking plaster molds of footprints and shit.
You can do that. You can be whatever you want to be, Pato.
I know.
If you want to be a professional wrestler, you can be.
Speaking of which, closing thoughts, I just want to give a shout out to, I don't know the name of the company, but one of the things that I was the most happy to pick up at Frogman Fest this weekend was there was a table in the back, like the hallway behind the MetaZoo stuff, that was selling Lyle Blackburn's hot sauce. And I bought at Mothman Festival, I bought some of Lyle's hot sauce off him because I saw him there, right? And I don't think he knew who I was. It was right after we did the interview with him, too. It was like probably a month later. And I was like, hey, it's me. And he was like, hi. And I bought his hot sauce off him. And the Rogue Red Chili hot sauce is fucking phenomenal. It is, I would put that shit on everything. I'd eat my own face if it was covered in it. It is the most delicious hot sauce that I've ever had. And it's like so flavorful, but it's not exactly like, doesn't have like crazy heat attached to it. So you can really put it on a variety of different foods. And it's really well. And I blew through it. So when I saw him, I bought the green swamp sensation, and I usually prefer green sauce to red sauce, but the Rogue Red Chili, the red sauce that he had, I blew through it like in record speed. And the green sauce, I just been kind of meandering my way through. Well, at Frog Fest, there was a guy selling his shit, and I got another one of the Rogue Red Chili, and then I got the Howling Habanero, which I have not tried yet. But I know that the hot sauce thing just seems like a gimmick that maybe some people do or whatever. Lyle Blackburn's fucking hot sauces are legitimately worth ordering. They're very good. They taste very good. I am somebody that knows a thing or two about food. I put all kinds of weird shit in my mouth. And Lyle Blackburn's Rogue Red Chili is the best thing I've ever put in my fucking mouth. I swear to God, it is delicious. And I know he travels around and he does the convention circuit selling this shit. I'm pretty sure you can buy them online. This isn't a paid advertisement. Like I really don't know where you can get it online. This isn't a shill. I'm just like really just like passing information along to our listeners. Lyle Blackburn, Rogue Red Chili, buy his hot sauces. I'm going to try the habanero, and I'll talk about it next week if it's good. If it's not, if you don't hear me talk about it next week, then it's probably not good because the swamp stuff is just all right. But the Rogue Red Chili is some of the best hot sauce I've ever had. And I was happy to pick up a bottle this weekend. I honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I should have bought like 7 or something.
Wow.
But
Lyle Blackburn's going to be at Monster Fest, Pato.
Oh,
So.
Somebody tell him I just did that so that when he remembers me when I go up and like buy more of his hot sauce for him.
I will. I'll message him and tell him.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask him about, I wonder who was selling his hot sauce. He wasn't at Frogman Festival.
Doesn't he have a buddy that like he does the booths with? Because I want to say it was, do you remember who he was parked next to?
Parked next.
at Mothman. Like
Oh,
they
yeah, he was there with Ken Gerhard, but Ken wasn't at Frogman Festival either.
I don't know.
So I don't know who.
There's some guy.
Some guy was there selling Lyle's hot sauce. Oh, that's Jeff. Jeff, who was selling Lyle Blackburn's hot sauce?
He was in the back room. You know that how like there was that vendor hallway that like had the exterior windows behind him.
No, I didn't go down there at all.
Oh,
Yeah, no clue what
yeah,
that was. I didn't even know there was people back there.
yeah.
Jesus.
No, there was traffic back there. It was just the MetaZoo thing was kind of like in the I don't know. It was this back hallway, and there was a man selling the hot sauce, and I bought it right away.
You're like, I know that hot sauce.
That's good.
And Lyle, another great dude that you should be supporting. Fucking fantastic guy.
Yes.
Definitely check him out. He's been on our show. I've been on his show. He's a great guy.
And what else did me and him talk about when he was on this show? What topic came up that me and him bonded over a little bit? I think. What's his name? Glenn.
It was over REO Speedwagon.
Fucking dork! I can't believe you said REO Speedwagon.
That's the first old guy band I could come up with. It was
Why would we're not old? Do you think that we're old guys?
compared to me, yeah.
Oh fuck. Okay. All right, we're done.
All right, fair enough. Well, anyway, Frogman Festival was a great success. I already told Jeff Craig I will black out my weekend for next year, and plan to be there. And I think it was great. You guys definitely need to go. If you didn't go this year because you didn't know how it was going to turn out, you missed out. And you need to go next year. So
at least 600-700 people.
Over 2,000 people.
Whoa.
Well over 2,000. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So
ka-ching.
Very nice. And we were kind of in an obscure place, and we did really well. I think had we been in the vendor room, we would have done a lot better
Well, I
financially.
thought about that, and I think that given that we were a podcast booth where we wanted to primarily talk and interact with the people that would show up, I don't know if that hall would have been the place to do it. I think if we were strictly selling merch, that hall would have been the place to maybe get more foot traffic for selling t-shirts. But as far as interacting with people, listening to their stories, making a personal connection, hopefully winning over listeners, we were probably in a better place to do that.
I don't know, man. He had podcasters in the vendor room, and they weren't selling shit.
Well,
Now I don't know how they did. Well, they weren't selling anything, but like, I mean, as far as like interactions, but there was more people in that room than there was that came down their hallway.
I think that we were I think that
Fine.
we were in the right place. Yeah.
It made
Yeah.
sense because he put all the speakers,
Across from the speaker. No, I get it.
right, and so it was totally fine. Anyway, yeah. So I guess I don't know, Pato. Anything else?
I got nothing.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you back here with an actual topic next Wednesday.